You step off the plane, and the warm, humid tropical air of the Philippines instantly wraps around you. After years of living in a cold, stressful, and suffocating routine back home, waking up early, sitting in traffic, working a job that paid the bills but slowly drained your soul, you finally had enough. You quit your job, sold most of your things, packed 2 suitcases, and bought a one-way ticket to start a brand new chapter. You chose Angeles City in the Philippines because you heard it was one of the most exciting places in Southeast Asia for single-four men looking for freedom and adventure. Your first night in the city, you decide to walk down Fields Avenue, also known as Walking Street. The second you turn onto that famous road, it hits you like a freight train. Bright neon lights are flashing and blinking in every direction. Loud music is blasting from dozens of different bars all at once. The heavy bass vibrates through your body. The entire street is alive with energy. Hundreds of beautiful young Filipina girls are standing outside the bars in tight dresses and high heels, smiling, waving, and calling out to every foreigner walking by. "Hi, sir. Come inside and have a drink. You're so handsome, sir." The smell of grilled street food, cigarette smoke, perfume, and exhaust from the tricycles fills the air. Motorcycles and tricycles weave through the crowd, honking constantly. Groups of foreign men are laughing loudly, already surrounded by girls. You feel an intense rush of excitement, mixed with a little nervousness and culture shock. Part of you feels like a kid who just walked into the world's biggest playground. But another part of you is slightly overwhelmed by how raw and intense everything feels. This is nothing like the quiet, orderly life you left behind. You walk slowly down the long, vibrant street, taking it all in. Bar after bar, each one trying to be louder and brighter than the next. You see older foreigners with young girls on their arms, groups of guys partying hard, and girls dancing energetically on small stages visible from the street. Deep down, this is exactly why you came to the Philippines. You were tired of the same boring routine, the pressure, the loneliness back home. You wanted to feel alive again. You wanted freedom. And as you walk down Fields Avenue on your very first night, surrounded by all this chaos and energy, you can't help but smile to yourself. This might be the fresh start you've been dreaming about. Eventually, you stop in front of one of the bigger and more popular bars. The music is loud and inviting. You can see beautiful girls dancing inside under colorful lights. Your heart beats a little faster as you take a deep breath and walk through the doors. Little did you know, that single decision to walk into that bar on your very first night would completely change the course of your life forever. The moment you step through the doors of that popular bar on Walking Street, the atmosphere completely swallows you. The music is loud and thumping. Colorful lights are flashing all over the place, and the air is thick with perfume, cigarette smoke, and pure energy. There are easily 60 or 70 girls inside the club, some dancing energetically on the brightly lit stage, others sitting with customers, laughing, flirting, and trying to entertain. You make your way to the bar, order a cold San Miguel beer, and just sit there taking everything in. The place feels alive in a way that's both exciting and a little overwhelming. Girls are constantly walking around, smiling at the foreigners, some being very bold while others are more subtle. Then, out of all the girls in that crowded bar, one catches your eye. Her name is Angel. She's 23 years old, with a beautiful, warm, and genuine smile that immediately stands out. She has long dark hair that falls nicely over her shoulders, bright expressive eyes, and a sweet, gentle face that makes her look softer and more innocent compared to many of the other girls. While some girls are loud and very aggressive, Angel approaches you with confidence, but also a gentle, almost shy energy. She sits down beside you gracefully and says softly with a sweet smile, "Hi, sir. Is it okay if I sit with you for a while?" From the very first few minutes, the conversation flows surprisingly easily. She's playful, she laughs at your jokes, and she seems genuinely interested in getting to know you. You learn that her real name is Angelica, but everyone calls her Angel. She's from a small, poor province in the Visayas region. Life back home was very hard. Her mother has been sick for a long time and needs regular medicine and doctor visits. She has younger brothers and sisters who depend on her. She tells you she came to Angela City because this was the only way she could make enough money to support her entire family. The way she talks about her situation feels honest and heartfelt. There's real emotion in her voice and a sadness in her eyes when she mentions her mother's illness. You find yourself opening up to her more than you normally would. You tell her why you left your stressful life behind and came to the Philippines looking for freedom and a fresh start. You end up talking for nearly 2 full hours. The connection feels natural, strong, and different. She gently touches your arm when she laughs, looks at you with those bright eyes, and makes you feel like you're the most interesting person in the room. For the first time in years, you feel genuinely excited and drawn to someone. Before the night is over, you decide to bar fine her. You pay the bar so she can leave work early and spend more time with you. As the two of you walk out of the club together into the warm night air, she holds your hand and gives you that beautiful, sweet smile again. Little did you know, this sweet girl you just met was about to become a very important part of your new life in Angela City. After that first magical night with Angel, you couldn't get her out of your head. The very next evening, you went back to the bar and bar fined her again. And then the night after that, before long, you were bar finding her almost every single night. Every time you walked through the doors of the bar, her face would instantly light up with genuine happiness. She would quickly finish whatever she was doing, run over to you, wrap her arms tightly around your neck, and whisper softly in your ear, "I missed you so much today." Her affection felt warm and real. She was incredibly cute, attentive, and loving in ways you had rarely experienced before. She remembered all the small details about you. She knew exactly how you like your beer served, what kind of food you enjoyed, and she would always ask about your day with real interest. During the daytime, you started taking her out of the bar and into normal life outside the nightlife scene. You went on proper dates together. You took her to nice restaurants where she would excitedly look at the menu and order her favorite dishes like chicken adobo, lechon kawali, or sour sinigang soup. Her eyes would sparkle every time she tried something new. You also went shopping together at the big SM mall. She would try on different dresses and outfits, twirling around and asking, "Do you like this one, baby?" with a shy but playful smile. You even started taking short trips together, riding vans to nearby beaches like Pundaquit or visiting peaceful resorts just outside the city. Those moments away from the loud chaos of Fields Avenue felt incredibly special. Every single day with Angel felt like a dream. She was always holding your hand, resting her head on your shoulder, giving you little kisses, and looking at you like you were her whole world. She made you feel like a real man, desired, respected, and deeply loved, something you hadn't felt in many years. One quiet evening while you were both lying in bed, she looked at you with those big, sincere eyes and said softly, "You're so different from all the other foreigners I've met here. Most of them just want fun for a few nights, and then they leave. But you treat me with real respect. You make me feel safe and special. I've never felt this way with anyone before." Her words touched you deeply. The more time you spent with her, the stronger your feelings became. You started smiling for no reason during the day, just thinking about her. You found yourself planning more dates, buying her small gifts, and slowly imagining what a real relationship with her could look like outside of Angela's nightlife. Angel seemed to be falling for you just as hard. She would send you sweet good morning messages every day, cute selfies when she missed you, and constantly tell you how lucky she felt to have met someone like you. As the weeks went by, you became more and more convinced that she might actually be the one. This wild move to the Philippines was starting to feel like the best decision you had ever made. Everything felt perfect. As the weeks went by, your feelings for Angel grew deeper and deeper. What started as simple attraction and excitement had now turned into something much more powerful. You were falling hard. You would catch yourself smiling for no reason during the day, just thinking about her. Every message she sent, every photo she shared, made your heart feel warm. You had never expected to develop such strong emotions for someone you met in a bar in Angela City. One quiet evening, while the two of you were lying in bed together, Angel became very serious. She turned to you, looked into your eyes, and said something that surprised you. "Baby, I don't want to work in the bar anymore. I only want to be with you." I'm tired of that life." Her voice was soft but sincere. She told you how much she hated going back to the bar every night. The loud music, the drunk customers, the way some men disrespected her. Since she met you, she said, she finally felt like she had a reason to leave that world behind. She wanted a real relationship. She wanted to build something meaningful with you. Her words touched you deeply. After thinking about it carefully, you made a big decision. You told her you would support her financially so she could stop working at the bar completely. You offered to give her a monthly allowance, enough for her to live comfortably and still send money home to her family. When she heard this, her eyes filled with tears of happiness. She hugged you tightly, buried her face in your chest, and whispered, "Thank you. You're my saving angel. No one has ever done something like this for me before." From that moment on, your relationship became even more intense. At night, after the lights were turned off, the two of you would have long, deep, emotional conversations that lasted for hours. She opened up to you about her difficult past in ways she had never done with anyone else. She told you heartbreaking stories about growing up in extreme poverty in the province, days when her family had almost nothing to eat, how her father abandoned them when she was young, and how she had to start working at a very young age to help support her sick mother and younger siblings. She cried while sharing these stories. You held her close, wiped her tears, and comforted her. In those quiet, intimate moments, you felt an incredibly strong emotional bond forming between you. You felt needed. You felt important. For the first time in your life, you truly believed you had found real love. Angel made you feel like a king. She was always affectionate, always caring, always telling you how lucky she felt to have met you. You started imagining a real future together, maybe even marriage and a family one day. You felt proud of yourself for taking her out of that difficult bar life and giving her a chance at something better. Everything felt so perfect. The connection was strong. The love felt real. And you were happier than you had been in many years. But as you would later learn, the deeper you fell in love, the more complicated and challenging things would eventually become. After a few wonderful months together, Angel started mentioning her family more frequently. One sunny afternoon, while you were both relaxing in your room, she looked at you with big, hopeful eyes and said softly, "Baby, I really want you to meet my family. They keep asking about you. They want to thank you personally for taking care of me. Can we please go visit them in the province?" You agreed. A few days later, you rode the train and made the journey together to her family home in a small, quiet town in Pampanga province. The moment you arrived, the contrast from the bright lights of Angeles City was striking. The house was very simple and modest. A single-story concrete building with a rusty tin roof, small windows, and basic wooden doors. The yard was mostly dirt with a few chickens walking around. There was no air conditioning, no fancy furniture, just plastic chairs, old tables, and a small electric fan spinning slowly in the living room. As soon as the van stopped, Angel's entire family came rushing out to greet you. Her mother, a frail-looking woman in her late 40s who appeared older due to her long-term illness, hugged you tightly with tears in her eyes. "Thank you so much for taking care of my daughter," she said emotionally. Angel's younger brothers and sisters, ranging from 8 to 16 years old, stared at you with wide, excited eyes, clearly fascinated by the first foreigner they had ever met in person. The whole family was incredibly warm and welcoming. They had prepared a big homemade meal with all their best dishes: grilled chicken, pancit noodles, rice, fresh vegetables, and even some lechon they bought specially for the occasion. Everyone was laughing, talking loudly, and treating you like a very important guest. They kept calling you Kuya and Sir with big respectful smiles on their faces. But as the afternoon went on, you began to clearly feel the heavy weight of expectations and financial pressure. Her mother quietly mentioned how expensive her medicines had become. One of the younger brothers needed new school supplies and shoes for the new semester. The roof of the house leaked badly whenever it rained. They never asked you for money directly, but the hints were very strong and constant. They looked at you like a savior, the generous foreigner who had finally come to help lift their family out of poverty. Later that afternoon, Angel gently pulled you aside and whispered, "Baby, can you help them just a little bit? Just this once?" It would mean so much to me and my family. You felt a mix of compassion and pressure. Even though it made you a bit uncomfortable, you agreed. You gave them a significant amount of money to help with the mother's medicine, the children's school needs, and some house repairs. On the long ride back to Angela's city that evening, Angel was extra loving and affectionate. She kept kissing your cheek, holding your hand, and repeatedly thanking you for being so kind to her family. She told you that you were the answer to all their prayers. You smiled and tried to enjoy the moment, but deep inside, a small uneasy feeling started growing. The financial expectations from her family were much heavier than you had anticipated. Still, you pushed those thoughts away. You were in love with Angel. You wanted to make her happy. And if helping her family was part of loving her, then you told yourself you were willing to do it. For now, after you agreed to support her, Angel officially moved in with you full-time in your condo in Angela City. It was a big step, but it felt exciting. For the first time, the two of you were living together like a real couple. Daily life with Angel was surprisingly good. In the mornings, you would wake up to the smell of her cooking breakfast, usually garlic rice, eggs, and corned beef or longanisa. She loved taking care of you. She would bring you coffee in bed with a sweet smile and kiss you on the forehead. During the day, you worked on your laptop while she cleaned the house, watched Korean dramas, or went to the market to buy fresh ingredients for dinner. In the evenings, you often went out together. You took her to restaurants, watched movies at the mall, or just walked around the city holding hands. She was loving and caring most of the time. She would massage your shoulders after a long day, tell you how handsome you were, and constantly say how grateful she was to have you in her life. Those moments felt warm and peaceful. You genuinely enjoyed her company and started to feel like this could be your new normal. But as the weeks passed, you slowly began to notice something. Your expenses were rising fast, much faster than you had expected. Supporting Angel meant paying for her monthly allowance, all her food, clothes, phone load, and transportation. On top of that, there were the regular remittances you were now sending to her family in the province. Her mother's medicine, the sibling school fees, house repairs, and random emergencies seemed to come every few weeks. At first, you didn't mind. You were in love and wanted to make her happy. But as the money flowed out month after month, you started feeling the pressure. Your savings were disappearing quicker than planned. Some nights, while Angel was happily cooking or watching TV, you would sit quietly and calculate your expenses, feeling a slight heaviness in your chest. Angel, on the other hand, seemed completely content. She was affectionate, playful, and always showed appreciation. She would hug you from behind while you were working and whisper, "I love you so much, baby." In those moments, the financial stress faded into the background. You told yourself it was worth it. She had left the bar life for you. She was trying her best. You wanted this relationship to work. Living with Angel felt like a beautiful dream in many ways. The companionship, the affection, the feeling of building something together, it all felt real. But underneath the surface, a quiet voice in your mind kept reminding you that this new life came with growing responsibilities, and those responsibilities were getting more expensive every month. Still, you pushed those thoughts away. You were in love. And for now, that was enough. As the months went by and Angel lived with you full-time, the honeymoon phase slowly started to show some small cracks. At first, there were subtle things. Angel would become noticeably jealous whenever you talked to other girls, even in innocent situations. If a waitress at a restaurant smiled at you and made small talk, Angel's mood would change instantly. She would go quiet, give you short answers, and later interrogate you with questions like, "Who was that girl? Why were you smiling at her? Do you think she's pretty?" Her jealousy was intense and came up more and more often, even when you tried to reassure her that you only had eyes for her. Then there were the sudden family emergencies that seemed to happen almost every few weeks. Angel would receive a phone call from the province, and her face would turn serious. Her mother needed more expensive medicine. One of her brothers had gotten into an accident at school. The roof was leaking badly again and needed urgent repairs before the next typhoon. Each time, she would look at you with sad, pleading eyes and ask for financial help. You wanted to be a good partner, so you sent the money. But Deep down, you started wondering how these emergencies kept happening so frequently. The biggest red flag came one afternoon when Angel was taking a shower. Her phone lit up on the table, and you accidentally saw the messages. She was still actively messaging several of her old customers from the bar. The conversations weren't extremely explicit, but they were too friendly. Lots of heart emojis, I miss talking to you texts, and inside jokes. When you confronted her about it, she immediately burst into tears and defended herself, saying they were just old friends and she was only being polite so they wouldn't cause trouble. This led to your first real arguments as a couple. The fights were emotional and intense. Angel would cry heavily, raise her voice, and say things like, "You don't trust me at all," or "After everything I gave up for you, this is how you repay me?" She was very good at guilt-tripping you, reminding you of her difficult past and how she left the bar life for you. Every single time, after the argument reached its peak, she would apologize sweetly. She would hug you tightly, kiss you, cry on your shoulder, and promise that she only loved you and that it would never happen again. For the next few days, she would be extra affectionate, cooking your favorite meals, giving you long massages, and being very loving and attentive. Because you loved her deeply, you always forgave her. You told yourself that every relationship has problems. She had a tough background. She was trying her best. You wanted this to work, so you chose to believe her apologies and move past the issues. But those small cracks were starting to spread. The constant jealousy, the frequent money requests, and catching her still talking to old customers planted seeds of doubt in your mind. Even though the good moments were still beautiful and you still loved her, you couldn't completely ignore the uneasy feeling that was slowly growing inside you. You tried your best to focus on the positive and enjoy the relationship. But the cracks were there, and they were becoming harder to ignore with every passing week. One evening, the tension that had been building finally exploded. A major argument erupted between you and Angel, the biggest and most emotional fight you had experienced in your relationship. It started when you confronted her again about still messaging some of her old customers. This time you were more direct and firm. Instead of apologizing like she usually did, Angel's reaction was immediate and intense. Her face changed, her eyes filled with tears, and she suddenly broke down, crying heavily. "You don't trust me at all," she sobbed. "After everything I've sacrificed for you, after I left the bar life completely, this is how you treat me? You don't really love me." Her crying was dramatic and heartbreaking. She started guilt-tripping you hard, reminding you of her difficult past, how she grew up in poverty, how she suffered for years, how she chose to leave everything behind just to be with you. She said things like, "I thought you were different from the other foreigners, but maybe I was wrong. Maybe you never really cared about me." Her words cut deep. Seeing her cry so hard, hearing the pain in her voice, made you feel absolutely terrible. You started doubting yourself. Maybe you were being too suspicious. Maybe you didn't fully understand how hard her life had been. The argument went back and forth for a long time, filled with tears, emotion, and raised voices. Eventually, you couldn't take it anymore. You pulled her into your arms, held her tightly, and apologized. You told her you loved her and that you didn't want to lose her. Angel cried even harder in your arms, hugging you back desperately. She apologized too, saying she only loved you and that she would try harder to prove it. The reconciliation that followed was extremely passionate and emotional. She kissed you with raw intensity, as if she was afraid you might leave her. The makeup was powerful, full of tears, strong physical connection, and deep emotion. For the next several days, Angel was extra loving and attentive. She cooked your favorite meals every day, gave you long back massages, sent you sweet messages, and constantly told you how much you meant to her. In those moments after the fight, the love felt incredibly intense and real. The emotional roller coaster left you feeling closer to her than ever before. You told yourself that this was normal in relationships, that fights and makeups were part of building something strong. But even as you enjoyed the passionate reconciliation, A quiet voice in the back of your mind whispered that these cycles of arguments and intense makeups were starting to become a pattern. Still, you pushed those thoughts away. You were deeply in love with Angel, and you wanted to believe your love could overcome anything. By this point in your relationship, you were fully supporting Angel and a big part of her family. You had become the main provider. Every month, you were sending money for her allowance, paying for all your living expenses together, and regularly helping her family in the province. The financial load was heavy, but you carried it because you loved her and wanted to build a future together. Angel had even started talking more seriously about marriage and the possibility of having a baby with you one day. Those conversations made you feel both excited and a little nervous about how fast everything was moving. Then one ordinary afternoon, everything suddenly changed. Angel's phone rang. As soon as she answered it, her face went pale. Within seconds, she broke down, crying uncontrollably. Her mother's health had taken a serious turn for the worse. The doctors in the province said she needed expensive medical treatment right away, special tests, strong medication, and possibly surgery at a better hospital in Manila. The total amount needed was very large, much bigger than any previous request. Angel was completely devastated. She dropped to the floor, sobbing loudly while still holding the phone. Tears were streaming down her face as she looked up at you with desperate, pleading eyes. "Baby, please, my mom might die if we don't help her. I don't know what to do. I'm begging you. This is really serious." She asked you for a large sum of money, far more than anything you had given before. The request hit you like a heavy weight on your chest. You felt massive financial pressure immediately. Your savings were already being drained month after month. Paying this amount would be a serious blow and leave you in a difficult position. At the same time, the emotional pressure was overwhelming. Seeing Angel so broken and scared hurt you deeply. You loved her. You didn't want to see her mother suffer or worse. But another part of you, a growing, louder part, started questioning everything. How many more big emergencies would come? Was this sustainable? Were you slowly destroying your own financial future out of love? That night was one of the heaviest you had experienced. Angel cried in your arms for hours. She kept thanking you through her tears, telling you how much she loved you and how you were her only hope. She said you were the answer to her family's prayers. You held her tightly, feeling torn between your deep love for her and the growing stress and doubt in your mind. Even as you comforted her and told her you would help, you couldn't stop the thoughts racing through your head. You still wanted to support the woman you loved more than anything, but the reality of the situation was becoming harder and harder to ignore. The financial burden was getting heavier, and the emotional weight was starting to exhaust you. For the first time, you seriously started wondering if you had gotten in way too deep. After the stress of the big family emergency with Angel's mother, the tension between you two had reached its peak. One heavy, emotional night, you finally sat Angel down and had the rawest, most honest conversation of your entire relationship. You poured your heart out. You told her that you loved her more than anything, but you were scared and exhausted. You explained that you didn't have unlimited money and that your savings were disappearing much faster than you had planned. You admitted that you sometimes felt like you were being taken advantage of, with the constant family emergencies, the jealousy, the financial pressure that never seemed to end. Your voice cracked as you said, "I came here looking for a new life, but right now I feel like I'm slowly drowning." Angel listened quietly at first, her eyes filling with tears. Then she completely broke down. She started crying hard, deep, painful sobs that shook her whole body. This wasn't her usual dramatic crying. This felt real and raw. She opened up to you honestly in a way she never had before. She admitted how ashamed she felt about her past and how terrified she was that you would eventually leave her like so many other foreigners had done. She told you how heavy the pressure from her family fell on her shoulders every single day and how guilty she felt for putting so much burden on you. "I never want to make you feel this way," she cried. "I love you so much. You're the best thing that ever happened to me. But I'm scared too. I don't know how to fix everything." The conversation was incredibly intense and emotional. Both of you cried. You held each other tightly as all the love, fear, doubt, and pressure you had been holding inside finally came out. You talked for hours about your future, about whether this relationship could survive long-term, about marriage, about the reality of supporting her entire family, and about what you both truly wanted. In that moment, everything felt painfully real. The love between you was still strong and powerful, but so were the serious problems you were facing. For the first time, you had to seriously confront the truth. Something needed to change if this relationship was going to survive. That night became the most emotional and important moment of your entire time with Angel. After everything was said, you were left with one heavy question hanging over both of you. What were you going to do about your future together? Looking back on everything that happened, it's hard to believe how much your life changed after that first night in Angeles City. You remember the excitement of arriving, the bright lights of Fields Avenue, the wild energy and the thrill of something new. You remember meeting Angel and how her smile made you feel alive again. You remember the beautiful honeymoon phase, the deep conversations, the way she made you feel loved and needed. But you also remember the red flags, the jealousy, the constant family emergencies, the financial pressure that almost broke you, and the painful arguments. It was a roller coaster. There were moments you wanted to run away, moments you felt used, moments you questioned everything. But there were also real moments of love, connection, and happiness that felt genuine. After that raw, emotional night where you both laid everything on the table, you made a decision. You chose to stay with Angel. But this time, you set clear boundaries. You told her the financial support for her family had to be more reasonable. You made it clear that trust needed to be rebuilt. And most importantly, you told her that if this relationship was going to work, you both had to be honest with each other moving forward. A few months later, you had a simple, intimate wedding ceremony in the province. No big fancy event. Just you, Angel, her immediate family, and a few close friends. She looked beautiful in her white dress, and when she said, "I do," there were tears in both of your eyes. Life today is not perfect. Money is still tighter than you would like. There are still challenges and occasional arguments. But you're building something real together. Angel has become more responsible, and you become wiser. You've learned that love in a place like the Philippines is complicated, messy, and full of lessons. Being a foreigner who falls in love with a Filipina bar girl comes with incredible highs and painful lows. You learn that people are not always what they seem at first, but sometimes, with patience, boundaries, and real effort, something beautiful can grow from an unexpected beginning. If you're a foreigner in the Philippines right now, falling in love or thinking about it, just remember, enjoy the moment, but protect yourself too. Love is worth it, but wisdom is just as important. In the end, you don't regret your journey with Angel, because sometimes the greatest adventures are the ones you never planned for. And this one changed your life in the best possible way.